Hey, everybody. We are here with another installment of Final Boy Status. I am here with, I'm Adam Bone, for those who don't know, and I'm here with Adam Bone. And I'm here.
Know. They should know.
By this point, if you don't know, then that's pretty fair. I don't know. Then I've got Lanson Lappin to my right and to your left. Hello.
Oh, wow. Spatial logic. He's good.
I had to think about it. I had to look at the monitor and be like, is that? Yep, that's left.
Yeah. If anybody watching the podcast ever notices our vision wandering every once in a while, it's because we do have a monitor to look at and go, do we look stupid? No? Good. Okay.
Yeah. And
thank goodness.
That voice coming from the great beyond is
God.
The wonderful
and ominous
I am not dead. Luke Haueter.
Hi, how's it going? I'm Luke Haueter. Apparently I'm God. I'm very vindictive. I'm going to kill Kevin Sorbo. It's a reference to the movie God's Not Dead, if you're wondering.
Yeah, Luke's favorite movie. He loves it.
Oh, man. Yeah. That whole series, I have them all on Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah.
The steel books from Best Buy. The Criterion collection, as far as I'm concerned. I just draw the Criterion C onto those movie cases. They're not official members of the Criterion collection, but they should be.
You just have that feeling, you know? You got to put that vibe on them.
Yeah, you know, any movie that's, you know, directly shames Muslim culture in favor of Christianity, I really want those to be in the Criterion collection. I want those to be recognized as some kind of classic.
And honestly, I'll just say it for all of us down with philosophy teachers. I mean, they had their time in the sun. We've been listening to them yap ever since Aristotle and Plato were around. Like, how long?
How long are we going to let it continue?
It's been too long.
I feel like this is going to be, just for our audience at home, I feel like this is going to be an interesting one because this is a movie we've talked about in podcast form before.
Yeah.
There's also the factor of we've been doing virtual recording for a while now, and this is the first time we've been together in the same room for a minute, and it will be the last time we're in a room together for a while because we're going to go back to virtual recording.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we are a little off base with this one and we're not perfectly married to the structure of the show, give us a break. We're just three friends enjoying being around each other for a minute.
And that's what the show is, you know? Like, it's three friends being married to... Is that what you said? We were married to each other or something? Yeah, I wasn't listening.
That's how you know we're good friends, is that you didn't bother listening to me.
I was just like, ooh, what am I going to say next?
Is Luke talking? Is it my turn to talk yet? Just wait till Luke shuts up.
I have something to say now that I've been wanting to say for the past 10 minutes, if you guys would let me.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about the movie Halloween. It's a classic. It's like Luke said, this
movie so much.
We've talked about it. We have like a 3-hour or 2-hour podcast of it out in the multiverse already.
We'll put a link.
It's a movie we all love and we all enjoy and we like to talk about, and so we're gonna do it for this podcast. If for some reason you don't know the premise of Halloween, which is fine, it's a scary movie. If it's not your thing, then it's crazy you're listening to this podcast. Good job. But for those of people out there, Luke, who are probably unsure of what this movie's about, why don't you give us a little elevator pitch over there?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So this movie focuses specifically on the psychopathic killer Michael Myers. Starts with him as a young child murdering his sister. He goes to an asylum for 15 years, and then he breaks loose, and he is tracking down teenagers to kill on Halloween night. I think that's
why it's called Halloween, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's like a behind-the-scenes story for that where it was like one of the producers on the movie told the writers, was like, hey, you know what? Nobody's ever named a movie Halloween. Why don't we get in on this racket? Have a whole holiday to market our movie. And the writers were like, great.
And honestly, that's why it's what it is because of that choice. If it was called anything else, no one would have remembered it.
Not influential in the slightest, this movie.
Arbor Day. It really just... The Arbor Day Killer.
He came...
Michael Myers.
He came to plant some trees and bury some bodies.
really redefines the digging up the headstone bit of this movie.
Yeah, I feel like there was a draft with the Arbor Day Killer.
He just plants a tree. He's like, I wanted my sister to be able to have this. Okay.
Does make the opening weird when the sister refuses to take him trick-or-treating for Arbor Day.
I know.
She deserved it then. She deserved to die, Judith.
Frickin' Judith Myers.
You freaking wench.
You shouldn't have a reason to talk to your neighbors into giving you candy. I think that should be a year-round activity.
That should just always happen.
Yeah.
If Adam ever shows up at your door and asks for candy, just give it to him.
Dude, he's getting candy.
It would be too much work because I'm not leaving until I get candy. I mean, I'm going to be there. So, like, if you want me as a permanent doormat, then by all means. But
you have, like, a full camp chair, like, slung over your shoulder, and they're like, oh, we don't have any candy. And it's like, that's okay. I can wait for you to go to the store. Start setting up the camp chair on their porch.
That's a nice porch you got here. Good view.
What kind of grass do you guys have? What is this,
nice
the
grass.
Kentucky bluegrass?
Do you guys mulch or?
Are you planting a tree over there for Arbor Day?
What do you guys think about aeration? Do you think that's like a racket, or do you think there's actually like something to it, you know?
Kind of thought they were just little poops at first, but
Thought somebody just didn't clean up after their dog.
yeah.
A lot of dogs. Arbor Day.
So, where were we with this elevator pitch? I don't know if you finished up.
I basically finished.
It's a pretty simple movie. I mean, a dude is coming after some girls, and that's basically all you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the real life background of this movie, I will just say, I can't stress enough. This was a no budget movie. This was made for $300,000, which is it's nothing. It's nothing. And so when we talk about like, I'm sure some people maybe watch this movie in advance and they're like, well, it's kind of cheesy. It's, you know, it's not quite on the level of some of the movies we've talked about before in terms of like the like nonstop excitement. There's really quiet moments in this movie, which I think are incredibly effective. But I do think we have to talk about all this with a grain of salt, that this is a incredibly well-made movie that was made for nothing. You talk about the big three horror icons of the 80s. It was Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Freddy Krueger. I think this movie, Halloween from 1978, is the best movie that any of the three franchises have produced. I think this is as good as it gets. I mean, we've talked about Friday the 13th before. I don't know that we've on the podcast directly compared Friday the 13th and Halloween, but Halloween I think is lights ahead of Friday the 13th in terms of how much I enjoy it. What about you, gentlemen?
Never seen it. The Freddy Krueger one, I've never seen it. But
I thought you were saying Halloween. I'm like, what is this, Adam?
I just came for the paycheck.
I couldn't tell if he was like doing a bit about like I forget the Friday the 13th movies as soon as they're over.
Freddy Myers.
I haven't seen the Freddy Krueger one.
Michael
The
Voorhees.
Friday the 13th, which is not the Freddy Krueger one. Yeah, not near as good. I didn't even like it. We've talked about this movie.
Yeah.
We talked about that on the pod. We've done a podcast on that. Yeah, it's on record. I didn't like that movie. I like this movie. So
Yeah.
So I feel like when we talk about this movie, if you're coming into this with your own opinion on the movie that's a little more negative, and you're I feel like just take a step back, let us kind of make a case for the movie, and start with the fact that this movie was made for nothing. It was made for peanuts.
here's another question that's really relevant and goes with what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather screw Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers? Like, that's the real question. Like, the movies are like whatever, but who has the sex appeal out of the
Who's
two?
the sexiest?
Who
between the
is
two?
gonna give you the time of your life better?
Okay. It's Michael Myers for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
You agree?
I would agree. I mean,
there's
like,
something deeply
before you even gave me an option, I'm like, Michael Myers is on the list for me. I don't even care.
I don't know who the options are, but it's Michael Myers.
It's Michael Myers. Please, Michael
Yeah,
Myers, take me away from this life.
If we're doing like Bang, Marry, Kill with Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees,
And
Freddy
Freddy
Krueger,
Krueger.
I think Yeah, I think I kill Jason,
Okay.
marry Michael Myers, and I think I bang Freddy Krueger because that would happen in a dream, so it kind of doesn't count.
It'd just be a whack, crazy
And it
ass
would get
wet dream.
it get real weird. I think there's a line in one of the Friday the 13th movies where he's like drowning a dude in his dream, and he goes, "Now this is what I call a wet dream."
What would be funny is he actually thinks that's what a wet dream is. Freddy, do you know? Yeah, it's where you drown somebody in a dream.
You don't get out much, do you, Freddy?
I feel like you have a lot of pent up energy that you're using in the wrong ways. What do you mean?
I feel like you're just misunderstanding what we're trying to tell you. Yeah, I mean,
Great. I think that's a good answer.
to sexualize Jason in any way feels incorrect.
He's like a kid. He's like
he's a frog boy,
man kid. You know.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah,
he's kind of a giant man child.
He doesn't.
He also
really
is
developed.
like weirdly afraid of sexuality, which I think like
Not only afraid of it, but actively
punishing it.
angry
Yeah.
about it.
like
Very angsty about it.
like it's directly connected to his childhood trauma. So like, I just feel like I don't
It
want to
would
get
be-
involved.
it'd be a
Michael
low blow.
Myers has a little bit of an interest in sex, I think, but his is coming more from like a titillation side. So he's just kinky, you know, and I don't kink shame. So I'd be a little more
Can't kink shame
open-minded.
Michael. It's just you got to let him do it. You just,
Yeah.
it's not harming anybody.
Yeah, Jason.
No, definitely not. Nobody was harmed
Jason-
in the making of Halloween.
Jason would be uncomfortable the whole time, so I'd be uncomfortable, and neither of us would be having a good time. Michael Myers, if you don't kink shame him, I think you could have some fun.
Just go with it. Be
Let
like,
That's the way to stop Michael Myers. You kink
drive
shame him.
the car,
He's
man.
coming with the freaking knife. I think what you're doing is immoral. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm a monster.
Oh,
Can't believe I did this.
I can't believe
I'm sorry, Michael. It's just
Have you guys ever seen this huge tangent? Have you guys ever seen the Comedy Central show This Is Not Happening?
No.
So it basically every night, every episode of the show is a topic, and then it's just like 10 to 15 minute stories, real life stories of comedians talking about like crazy things that have happened to them connected to that story. It's not a super fun show to watch because most of the time it's comedians weirdly bragging about the fact that they're terrible people.
Oh, jeez.
But there was a really, really good episode where like I think the topic of the episode was fights, and Doug Smith tells the story about a time he was in New York City and he stopped a rapist.
Oh, I've seen that one, yeah.
It's incredible,
It's
right?
awesome, yeah.
It's so good. But he has like that really great line where he goes, "When I first noticed like what's going on, I'm trying to think of what to say to the guy to get him to stop. And I go, 'Hey man, that's a lady.'" As if he was going to be like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. Oh, whoa. I got to wear my glasses when I go out. I am so embarrassed. Sorry about that, ma'am."
that's
So yeah,
unstoppable, Mikey.
yeah, go to YouTube, type in Doug Smith.
That's a lady.
This Is Not Happening. It's like I said, most of the stories from that show are just comedians bragging about being terrible people. That story is so good, so interesting, and he just genuinely seems like a nice guy. So
Yeah.
like it was so refreshing to have a story that wasn't just somebody being a terrible person.
For Michael Myers' defense, that mask is probably hard to see through, and maybe he doesn't know that that's a lady. I think that might be some
Well,
of
but
the
we know
issue
that in
there.
H2O we got LASIK, so it's like
Yeah.
we know for sure that there comes a point where he knows what's happening.
So yeah, maybe he just leans into it after a while. But this is the inception of this man. So, anyways, this is a very well structured episode. Usually what we do with this episode is we talk about first how we liked the movie. This is, if you haven't seen this podcast, a podcast where we talk about surviving horror movies, and we will get to that. But first, we're going to talk about the quality of the movie and the spookiness of the movie. We have a rating system out of 13 because of it's a cool number.
It's a spooky number.
Yeah.
The original number was 666, but we decided that was just too hard to rate every movie on
You're
a
like,
scale of.
535.
7.6? I don't know.
I'll give it a 3/4 and 55 100ths.
Funny enough, my rating for I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer is the same on either scale.
Either it's a big fat. I forgot two. I don't know.
I probably gave it like a 0 or a 1.
Oh man.
Go into Final Boy status, type in I'll Always Know What You Do Last Summer, and watch it. Don't do it on Netflix. It's not on Netflix. Don't do it on Google because you might accidentally watch the real movie,
Oh my
and
gosh.
that would be a terrible mistake.
Can you imagine if that's of that trilogy, that's the one they put on Netflix? They're like, this is what the kids are clamoring for.
Sometimes it's on brand with those streaming services. You'll get like
Well, because
this-
Amazon just released a trailer. They're doing a TV show version of I Know What You Did Last Summer. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh.
Nobody noteworthy is in it. No FPJ that we know of, but it would be on brand for him to show up in the last episode.
in the
and
very
save the
last
day.
episode and save everybody with a gun.
But yeah, they've adapted it as a TV show, which somebody was trying to convince me to send in a self tape for that, and I was like, what if I did that, but just doing lines from I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer?
I make a bit, but I don't remember that movie for shit. So I don't know any lines.
I just remember somebody get the deputy get impaled
please
on
don't
the
kill me.
forklift.
Oh yeah.
Blah, that's probably a line.
That
Guy.
sounds. Dominique Wilkins.
It sound like we just described someone getting impaled with on a forklift. Don't let that make you want to watch the movie though, because
Don't let that.
That's
trick
the
you.
best
No.
part.
So all I was saying is now that there's a TV show coming out, we might see, especially because it's an Amazon original TV show. On Amazon, they might have the I Know What You Did trilogy kind of in rotation for the next little while. If you see it pop up at any point in time, don't.
skip it.
Hey, don't. Anyway, what did you guys think of Halloween?
Yeah. So yeah, this is actually one of my favorite horror movies.
I love
all
it.
time.
So
I
good.
mean, the score is amazing. John Carpenter kills it. I was actually listening to it for this episode, like just the soundtrack in my car driving around.
Or like the soundtrack from the 2018 one.
Oh yeah,
Is like incredible too.
it's awesome.
The whole spooky season I'll rock either like driving in my car.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I mean, yeah, even though it is, it was made for a very low budget. I mean, it's still very well done. It's, you watch it and you're like, man, I thought they made it for a lot more, just in the quality that they ended up producing it. I mean, geez, like, you got Donald Pleasance, you have a very young Jamie Lee Curtis, which is awesome, and then just kind of. It's kind of that movie that it wasn't the first slasher, but it's kind of the one that got the whole slasher genre going. So, yeah, it's kind of a pioneer in that sense. But yeah, out of 13, I would give it, for just overall quality, I will give it a 9.
9 out of 13. I like it.
Heck yeah.
What about you, Luke? What's your thoughts?
Yeah. I love this movie. Like obviously I have a great affinity for this movie. Like Lanson said, just on a technical level, what they achieve with this movie is incredible. The fact that they kickstart an entire movement for film in America with this film. Like Friday the 13th, literally what happened was two guys watched this movie and said, we're going to do that. Like they weren't even like hiding the fact that they were ripping it off. So it's like incredibly influential, incredibly well made. I mean, again, like the shoestring budget this movie had, I think is just a sign that John Carpenter was a director who was just never respected in his heyday. When he was making some of his best movies, like people were just not giving him the time of day, which is so crazy to me. I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 13. We've obviously said a lot about this movie already, so I'll try to be concise about what we say about it moving forward. But I'm just gonna gush about it probably every chance I get. I really like this movie. Is it cheesy in places? Yeah. I don't think it ever gets boring, which is a really cool feat for considering how much of this movie is just really quiet and atmospheric. And there's so many just of like these long scenes of these girls, these teenage girls just being watched. And in the hands of a lesser director, it's very boring. Like the comparison we've already made to Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th has a lot of...
Super boring sometimes.
Yeah, like literally...
Can these kids get killed already?
There's a scene in Friday the 13th where we literally watch a girl just make tea. Like, if John Carpenter did that in this movie, you'd be riveted for some reason. He knows how to play with attention. He knows exactly when to use music. He knows when it should be dead silent. And the guy just knows his way around jump scares for sure. I think, like there's so many fake outs in this movie that in a modern day horror movie would be played up to a ridiculous degree. Like when Loomis is outside the house and then the sheriff kind of like grabs him on the shoulder and freaks him out. That's a really quiet moment in this movie. That's just a character beat. It's not played up for scares or anything. In a modern day horror movie, there'd be like a huge like blah, and like they want everybody to jump out of their seats for a fake out scare, which would feel like so cheap.
Yeah.
In this movie, every jump scare is so calculated to kick you into action. I think basically every kill in the movie, well, some of the more prominent kills, Annie in the car and Bob in the kitchen, like the kills kick off with just this brilliant jump scare, and the soundtrack kicks in and it's amazing. So yeah, I think very highly of this movie, and like these guys clearly know what they're doing, because like I'm watching this in 4K. Who knows how many years after it came out? We're like at least 40 years removed at this point.
43
years. I'm watching this on 4K 43 years later, and it still looks spectacular.
Yeah.
Like, these guys just made a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
And they did it with, I cannot stress this enough. They made a good movie with nothing, So, yeah, I will sing this movie's praises for a long time. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 13.
Nice. I like it.
How about you, Adam?
I like this movie too. I think it's good. It's
We're really divided on this one, guys.
I know. I think it feels very, very pure, in the sense that it's a movie that you have to just appreciate it in the context of when it came out. If you compare it to movies that come out nowadays, it doesn't really stand up, in my opinion, as far as like story, or as far as like, I don't know. It's a movie that, in my opinion, does feel dated, but if you sit down and watch it and have in the mindset of like, okay, we're back to whatever date, 79, 78.
Yep.
Then I think that's kind of where it just feels right. It's, like you guys said, very effective in the simplicity. I think the kills were fun. There's a lot of really interesting and very scary moments that the couple that stick out in my mind, I'll just say two of them. The first one was just that shot where they're coming up on the, what is the institution he's in? Like the asylum, or what do you call it?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it.
But they're driving up, the headlights hit the inmates who are walking around in those white clothes. And it's just such a freaky moment that's, like Luke mentioned, it's not played up. It's not like, like a movie nowadays would be. It's just so subtle. And you're like, man, that is a freaky looking thing. And it doesn't really dwell on it. It's just kind of there for the atmosphere and there for the story building and for the world building. And the second moment that I think of, and this, I guess I'll be ambiguous with this just in case you're watching it without spoilers. We are going to jump into spoilers here, but a character gets pinned up against a wall and just the moment where you see Michael Myers just kind of staring at this corpse on a wall, just kind of like checking it out, like, all right,
yeah, the head
admiring his
tilt.
work.
did I do that? Like, you know,
Did I do that?
such a freaky character moment that from a guy who doesn't talk the entire movie,
Yeah.
it doesn't do, like, I don't know, you just kind of like gaze into the almost, you know, metaphorically kind of look behind the mask and see like this psychopath. I don't know. So really good movie. I'm going to match Lanson 9 out of 13. I think it's super awesome for its time. Is it going to be as exciting or as scary or as crazy as where horror movies have gone? Probably not, but it's, you know, it's a classic. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of the rare movies that has a reputation of being a classic that the three of us have watched and uniformly agreed, like, yeah, this deserves the hype it gets.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling when we can unequivocally give that to a movie and not have to qualify it with like, well, it was a different time or this, that, or the other.
Right.
It's nice to just fully unabashedly be like, yeah, this movie's rad.
Yeah.
but now is the time for scariness, for like
For scoopiness. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
Scoopiness.
Scooperness.
The scooperness.
Out of 13 again. Let's jump back to Lanson. Spookiness. What would you rate it?
Oh man,
What are your
it's
thoughts?
yeah. I think this. I'm trying to think back to the first time I watched it because I've watched it a couple times, and so
Yeah,
you know,
I'm starting to
2
lose
times.
track of how many times I've seen the movie at this point.
right. So you know, obviously some of the scares have kind of lost their initial novelty, but I do have to say the first time I watched this movie, I was like really enthralled and very much scared at just a lot of like just the little things where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
is he gonna be there? And then he's not there, but then he is there, and you're like, oh my goodness. So, yeah, this is definitely a spooky movie, definitely a scary movie for sure. I will give it an 8 out of 13 for scariness for me.
Oh, boom.
Yeah. Okay, Luke. I don't know what that transition was.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep talking. Let's go, Luke.
Yeah, I will say that I think how this movie affects you will be dependent on how invested you are in the movie and what the movie's trying to say. Where the theme of this movie, I really wish I could say who said this specifically, but there's a great quote about this movie where somebody said, "This is the film that brought horror to the suburbs."
Yeah, Karl Marx.
Karl Marx said that?
Yeah.
Rob Zombie.
He brought it he took it from the proletariat and he gave it to the people.
Yeah.
But I think that so perfectly encapsulates why this movie had the impact that it did, was because it was the first like mainstream horror film where it wasn't fantastical and there was this distinct element of this could happen to anyone. I was thinking about it as I was watching it today, that thematic sort of idea in my head, and there's even the scene where they're going to try and find the grave of Judith Myers, and the gravekeeper, whatever his job description is telling Dr. Loomis, he's like, yeah, you hear about this in every town. And it's just that creepy suggestion of like, your town isn't immune to this. You can feel so safe in your home, but are you ever really safe? And so I think when you're invested in the movie, when you're willing to go on the ride it's taking you on, this is a movie that can kind of make you look over your shoulder afterwards. I definitely like the whole thing with Annie in the car. Like, that has a profound effect on me because I'm the guy that has to check his back seat every time I get in the car, just to be like, someone going to murder me? No? Good. So I think if you're not watching this with a lot of investment, it's not going to haunt you afterwards. If you're really interested in following the story where it's going to go, there's going to be some stuff in it that sticks with you a little bit, and you're going to contemplate human nature just ever so slightly, I think. So I'm going to match Lanson. I'm going to give it an 8.
Cool. I mentioned before that kind of have to, well, for me, I kind of have to look at it for what it was in its time, because I think as people, we have seen some crazy crap on the screen and have seen some crazy movies, and can get very desensitized to scares, especially in some of these classic movies. I think of, I don't know if this is a thing, but that one, fetch, what's that classic, like super old movie with the train that was coming at the screen and everyone like freaked the fetch out?
Oh yeah, it's called like The Train Heist or something.
Yeah, The Great Train Robbery. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like the Great Train Robbery syndrome, where it's like, because people haven't seen them, like this wasn't the first slasher, but probably it was so successful and widely spread that people, it was like the first time people had experienced that kind of fear in a theater. But since, there's been a lot of stuff we've seen in a theater. So for me, I look at it, I'm like, it's not going to affect me. Like there are kind of haunting moments and jump scares that are pretty effective, but I've definitely seen scarier things. And it's hard to judge it based off of that, because I think, I don't know, it's underselling it to say it's not scary anymore. Like, I don't know. I don't like saying that, but I have to be honest and say, yeah, it's not the scariest movie I've seen. I've seen it enough times, like Lanson too, that it's just not going to get me. So I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 6. I think it's pretty scary, pretty effective, but I've seen crazier stuff, and so I kind of have to be honest to that. But I don't want to hold it against the quality of the movie. So,
well, and it is funny to talk about like the scariness of this movie, because if we're to compare it to something that came out recently that has some slashery DNA, right before the podcast started, the three of us were talking about Malignant, which has a lot of like that Malignant, or as I like to call it, Maligma. Shout out to,
got him.
I saw that on TikTok. I don't remember the TikTok user, but I'm not going to take credit for that joke. But like when I saw Malignant and I was trying to explain it to people, the thing it kept coming back to is I had to explain to them, like, don't expect it to be scary, because slasher movies aren't really scary anymore. But the funny thing is, I talk about this movie, it's like, yeah, Halloween kind of creeps me out, but I fully watched Malignant, which is on the other side of the spectrum with, like, it's much more graphic. It's got much, like, more intense horror imagery, but I was a lot less frightened by it. And this is a personal taste thing as well, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I do understand both sides of that, where somebody's going to see Malignant and they're going to be like, I don't know, man, that actually really freaked me out. But the same person would watch Halloween and be like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
True.
So it's two different things, and I do want to clarify that I don't find the idea of slashers particularly scary. There's just something about the execution of this one that I feel like deserves a special amount of praise. So I'm like, me giving it an 8 is definitely like overextending it a bit.
I hear you.
So like, I totally understand where you're coming from, where it's like, you've got to inflate that number just a little bit, just because like slashers don't really get to me, but this movie gets to me a little, and we have to respect what it did for the time it came out. So I agree completely with you.
Awesome. Well, that kind of wraps up our portion of talking about the quality. Again, if you haven't seen it,
I'm not sure that was long enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to elongate it, but I was like, I already made the transition too far ahead. All right. We like to talk about kind of just the point of this podcast is to talk about surviving horror movies, because we are 3 of the most average Joes that you've ever met in your life.
We really have to make that into a t-shirt. The most average of Joes has to be a t-shirt that we sell. We got to just get on that at some point.
Or we make 3 of them and wear them because we are the most anyone else wearing it, they're not the most average of Joes, because that's us. I've never met a more average Joe.
If you relate to us, we don't mean to belittle you, but
we are more average. I'll fight you. and I'll lose because I'm so fucking average. We don't have any karate skills. I don't know. So basically, we're looking at this in I
think Lanson did study Krav Maga for a short period of time.
Yes, in the Walmart parking lot, I studied as a child Krav Maga.
Krav Maga.
Studied Tim McGraw.
It was actually where you did Krav Maga while listening to Tim McGraw.
It was very soothing.
I was in my early 40s.
On a bad day, it was Garth Brooks, but
I've got friends just beating each other senseless.
So the way we like to break it down, and I mean, this forum is just there to keep us on track a little bit, but we'd like to break down the killer, their effectiveness, strengths and weaknesses, and the victims. Their effectiveness, the choices they make. I feel like this movie, there's going to be a lot to say about both. I think some movies, you're like, yeah, I would act that way too. I don't know, the evil thing is kind of like ambiguous, but I feel like this one is pretty practical in some cases, and there's definitely distinct decisions made that I'm excited to talk about. So let's just open it up. What do you guys think? We can start by focusing on Michael Myers. Like, what's his stuff? What's his MO?
Oh yeah. Do you guys mind if I take the floor at least on one plot point?
I'd love for you to jump in there.
Wipe the floor with me, Lanson.
All right.
All right.
Get yourself a little bucket and maybe some Fabulosa. I forgot what it was called for a second. I'm like,
it's part of the character. That I didn't even.
Some purple cleaning supply that's lavender. It smells really good.
What you got there? Some grape juice? You're Matthew McConaughey. I'm George W. Bush, apparently.
George W. McConaughey. Matthew
What you got there? Some grape juice?
Two Texans that definitely hang out.
Can't shoot the shooter.
Can't Fabulosa the Fabulosa. Oh, shoot. But I think something that is very much in the forefront when considering Michael Myers is we joke about this all the time, but really, like, what kind of workout plan was this guy on? Like,
he had great health care in mental prison, apparently.
Yeah, dude. Like, I would love for him to just write a book and give a workout plan. If the bar ain't bending, you're just pretending with Michael Myers. Because this dude is strong. Like,
yeah.
There's a couple, like, there were 3 instances rewatching this movie where I was like, dang, like, he just picks up a tombstone from a cemetery like he's picking up a gallon of milk to drop off somewhere. And then Annie, her dead, lifeless body, which is funny because you think, oh, well, like, it's just like picking up a person. But, like, when somebody is, like, unconscious, I've never picked up somebody when they were dead, so I would not know this. But they are very heavy. So, him doing
just a
that.
sack of potatoes.
They literally turn into a sack of potatoes. Somebody just...
That's what happens when you decompose. Look, they're not going to teach you this in school, all right? You're going to walk into your first day of college, they're going to tell you God's dead, and they're going to tell you that a human stays a human after they die. I'm going to tell you, human being turns into a full sack of potatoes. Do you understand?
Russet potatoes, to be exact.
No.
From Idaho.
Yeah. From the motherland of potatoes.
That's where Lanson's from, Idaho, in case you didn't know.
Yes. Burley, Idaho.
It shows, my man.
In a good way or bad way. Please don't answer that question.
It shows.
Anyway. But, so, going back to him carrying Annie's body, this is something funny that I also... I guess this goes along with any of the bodies that he ends up placing.
Yeah, you like Jerry rigs around.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, I'm just thinking of, like, when he was trying to open the door to get back into the house because he carried her from the garage back into the house, did he, like, how did that work? He's just like, well, anyway, either way, he needs to get, like, a job being a delivery guy for, like, DoorDash or something like that. He could carry a lot of stuff and just, drop it off. And then, yeah, him like picking up Bob with one hand and just shoulder pressing him, and then just let me just stab you right into the kitchen wall there. You know, he's a thick boy, is what I'm trying to say. He's got like that.
Ooh.
He's got that crazy man strength.
They don't call him Thunder Buns for nothing.
They do not.
That's why you never see him run. It'll give away his position with those clapping cheeks.
Is it a thunderstorm? Oh no! I didn't know there are horse carriage rides around here. Are those hooves on a cobblestone? Oh no!
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers, you thick son of a gun.
Oh man, it's hard to. This is just going to turn into so many bits because the three of us are just having a lot of fun.
Yep.
But in an effort to be somewhat serious,
Get back, yeah. Take us back.
and present something about Michael Myers. Something I really enjoy about him as a villain is that he can't be reasoned with. He doesn't want anything.
No.
He doesn't need anything. Like, there's a weird ambiguous line in the movie where they find a dead dog, or maybe it's not a dog, but they find a dead animal of some kind, and Dr. Loomis just ambiguously says, like, he got hungry. And we as an audience aren't sure what that means. Like, does that mean he literally ate this creature for sustenance, or he just needed to kill something? Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
I think there's supposed to be somewhat of an ambiguous nature to this line of, like, was it actually like a food thing, or did he just need to kill? Because he needs to kill, my dudes. He's like, you know, he's a comedy and he's a comedian. You know, he needs to kill. Cut that out, Luke. Cut that out.
Keep it in, Adam. Keep it in.
So I think something I think about is, like, there's sort of a weird thing with Jason or Freddy that comes up in some of their movies where you can try and trick them, or you can try and reason with them. And Michael Myers, like, that just isn't gonna, like, that's not gonna go anywhere. Like, he doesn't want anything. He doesn't need anything. All he knows is kill. And I think that's something very unique about him as a character that's uniquely terrifying and also just worth considering. So there is no version of this where you talk your way out of it. He doesn't care.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Two very, very strong strengths for Michael Myers. Here's a debate I think we can have. So in my view, in my perspective, when I watch this movie, Michael Myers is a man. He's a ripped man. He is a very strong man. He can take a little bit more bullets than the average guy sometimes. But
Just a few.
from this perspective, I watch this movie as a crazy guy who broke out of a place and is killing girls. There's nothing supernatural to me about this movie. I know that is a little different as we go down the line of some sequels, and some people I've talked to
No.
He never does.
I think that's the standout thing about him as one of the 80s slasher villains. I don't think at any point in the series ever is he considered a supernatural entity. He's always just a guy. There's like a section of the series where he's like involved with a cult, but he's still just like a dude.
Gotcha. Well, I have heard the argument that because he took so many bullets at the end of this movie, he's like some supernatural thing. And even though a person would be dead, in my opinion, it's more of just kind of like a movie thing than actually seeing his character. So I think that is a weakness to bring up. He is a astounding man, but he is a man at the end of the day. He can die. He is only limited to his sphere of how far he can, So that's that. There are limits to his his gains.
And you've kind of said this already, but I'm just gonna like come in and make sure it's clarified for all of us moving forward. But what we're judging on Michael Myers has to come only from this movie.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can't play fast and loose with like, well, but also in Halloween Part 17, the return of Michael Myers from the grave of Freddy Krueger.
I haven't even seen any of the other ones. I've only seen this one, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, so like it's very important for the audience at home and for us in this room to understand that we're just talking from the context of this movie. When we do the next movie, which, spoiler alert, is the 2018 reboot sequel to this movie, also called Halloween, just to be confusing. That will expand our context a little, and we'll have two movies to kind of base our analysis of him off of. But like, we are making a point, just to be clear, we're only judging off of his appearance in this movie. Just because I've said, like, from my perspective of the rest of the series, he's never supernatural. He's always a guy. We're still not bringing that into the fold, though. We're just looking at this first movie.
Yeah. I think that's a good point.
Yep.
And in this first movie, he's a guy. So I think that there's that. He uses a knife, which is crazy and bloody, but there are many limitations to that. In a modern world, a knife can only get you so far.
He's definitely into choking, too.
Yeah, well, I don't like to kink shame, but to point it out,
his only weakness.
Look, man, I'm not saying it's a problem.
It's just a thing.
No, it's because Linda, he chokes to death.
Yeah.
Bob and Annie, he starts by choking him, and then I don't know. I guess he just like runs out of patience, and he's like, "Well, the knife will work."
Oh yeah,
and
the knife.
Yeah, he tries to choke out Lori like a couple times.
Yeah.
So he clearly has.
He's a hands-on kind of guy. He's not gonna
hands-on.
He's not gonna go for the gun. He's like the Joker.
I don't think we're gonna see him wield a gun.
No.
I think he'd take up a bow and arrow, like if the need was dire.
Could you imagine? Please let that be in the newest one. Him with a compound bow just wrecking people.
I love his rippling arm muscles, just like
he's so ripped that he gets like a 3-for-1. Just the arrow goes through 3 people's heads that are just lined up in a row.
It's like that Deadpool shot where it's like,
oh yeah,
just an arrow split. That would be so cool. I want to see that. If I don't see it, I'm giving it a 0.
Or it's 3 different people, but he does 3 arrows in a row, where it's like one goes out the back of the guy's head, and then he shoots that arrow through the
Robin
hole to
Hood's
hit the second guy.
Jeez, dude. Oh man.
But yeah, he's very practical. He's bread and butter. He's so I think
he
there's
certainly
an advantage you could have over him.
He seems to crave a certain intimacy with his kill.
Yeah.
He has to be close up, and it has to be kind of personal.
Yeah.
Especially if it's his naked sister,
Judith.
Adam, in the podcast we did about Halloween a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years.
You made a great comment about Judith's boyfriend at the beginning. You're like, man, good thing he's like a 1-minute champion, or what? I feel like that was the term you used because it was so funny to me that I kept using that term, the 1-minute champion. But this time watching through, I clocked every dude in this movie is a 1-minute champion.
Everybody, they're just going for the quickies left and right.
Bob and Linda are like making out in the bed. They stop because the phone rings, and then they have sex in less than a minute. Like, and Linda goes, "That was fantastic," and I'm like,
"That's
no,
a lie."
Yeah,
that's the best she's had in that old small town. So
that little podunk town in Illinois.
She's like, "Wow, we got to double digits there."
I can't believe it. He said he's going to go down on me on my birthday. He's a gentleman.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of. I'm trying to decide whether that's a weakness or a strength of the victims.
Champion?
Yeah, because in one way, it's
their
kind
ability,
of a strength.
Their ability to make women come. Where does that land on the spectrum of strength and weakness?
Well, I'll say this: it's a good survivability. It's a good ability to have for survival if you just want to get away from the killer, like Judith's boyfriend. He got away from Michael.
He dipped out quick.
I mean, I remember during our survival merit badge class in Boy Scouts, they were like, "You got to be a pump and dump chump,"
Yeah, I got that merit badge a couple times.
My whole high school experience.
My
Thank
sash
you.
was just that. So,
Wow, I don't remember that. What was that all about? Is that where you learn how to like take out trash or what? Anyway, I'll have to look into that myself. So anyway, sorry for that.
I would like to submit that it's a strength because they can get out of there quicker. If you're having like,
And you got that post-nut clarity.
well, yeah, you get out and you're like, holy shit, we have all the lights off, the doors are open. What the fuck are we doing?
Who's the guy on the go sheet?
There's a jack-o'-lantern next to the bed and it's lit. What were we
What?
thinking?
That is a fire hazard.
Was that there when? Did we do that, or was that just there?
Oh, I think I'm disgusting.
Also, why did we have sex in some random person's bed?
This isn't even our house.
They deserve to die. We deserve to die.
Our hormones might be a bit much, guys.
Yeah,
Am I a monster?
Am I a monster?
Good
So-
night, you Prince of Westchester.
There's a little check on the side of the victims. They've got that going for them, and that's a strength in my book.
The men of this movie. Yeah.
Any other things? I mean, we're kind of jumping back and forth, but any other victim traits that we can kind of point out?
So we're just open season now, talking about Mikey or the victims, either way.
Sure.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. So I'm gonna point this out. Like, slasher movies do have a weird obsession with like sex.
True.
And it's
Who
weirdly
doesn't?
puritanical of like, if you have sex, you're gonna die. And I was so in the middle of what I was talking about that it took me a minute to realize what you said, but I like it a lot. Thank you. What I do like about this movie though is it feels ancillary. It doesn't feel like they are dying because they're having sex. It just feels like it feels quite naturalistic, honestly. Like it's just like Annie really likes her boyfriend Paul and she wants to spend Halloween with him. So that's where her mind is at. She's thinking about Paul all night. Bill and Linda are just, they can't keep their hands off each other. They're thinking about one another all night. So yeah, they're not noticing that Michael Myers is like creeping around the house because they're just invested in that moment with one another. It doesn't have that weird like double-sided puritanical thing of like, we're going to show sex and nudity in our movie, but don't worry, we're going to punish the people who did it because values. It doesn't feel double-edged like that, which I appreciate. So I will point out that a weakness of these characters is their focus just isn't like they're just not worried about it. And it's also a point in Michael's column. And the reason why Laurie has the advantage is because she doesn't have somebody she's getting down and dirty with. She's single at the moment. She's more focused on being a babysitter. And so, and he is, in fairness, he spends a lot more time stalking her than he does the other babysitters. So she has a lot more time to notice him and kind of be like, I feel like something's weird going on. So she has a lot more reason to be on high alert. But at the same time, it's like, if you're in a happy, committed relationship with somebody and you want to have, and you want to celebrate Halloween with them and you want to be with them physically and intimately, like, yeah, I understand that would totally be a thing. Like, I understand that would be distracting. Like, yeah, I give zero craps about the kids trick-or-treating. We can put on some crappy horror movie that I will not be scared about. I will not be scared by that movie at all because I am spending time with this wonderful person. Like, I understand. I feel like that is saying it's a weakness feels like I'm undercutting the point I made earlier, but like it makes sense to me.
It
like,
makes them susceptible. Even
Yeah.
you're saying it's not like a character fault,
Yeah,
but
it's not
it does make them susceptible.
That's very well put. It
I
is
get
not
what
a
you're saying.
character defect to be invested in your romantic partner, your romance partner. But at the same time, like, it does mean that their mind is just somewhere else that night, and that creates an interesting opportunity for one Michael J. Myers. And you guys might not have known this. His middle name is Jesus.
Checks out.
It's like the third week in a row I've used that joke.
Checks
Oh
out.
man, my question is, who's thinking about Michael Myers? Come on, guys. Maybe we just need to like think about him. You know.
We got yeah. I hate when I go to my first day of college classes and my professor is like, Michael Myers is dead.
Oh, he ain't dead. He just sits up and stabs the professor. That's what you get, your philosophy
His full
professor.
90-degree sit-up.
Dude. Yeah. Holy crap! The core strength on that guy.
I think I don't know. Again, because I don't know if we want to save this for after, because this is kind of, for me, the glaring character faults, and this kind of goes to pointing out specific moments. But Laurie is the main girl, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She doesn't know when to double tap. And I think this is the
True.
quintessential movie.
True.
Well, a lot of movies do this, but I remember this movie especially. You're sitting there and you're like,
It like established the trope.
I think
Yeah.
it really was the OG. Like, okay, he's on the ground. You better make sure he's not getting back up, because this guy can take some punches. So,
Yeah.
and it's not like I don't get it, because she's just a baby. She's not a killer. But like when it's fight and flight, you gotta fight. You gotta lay them out when they're weak. So
Yeah.
I think that is a fault in Laurie specifically. I don't remember seeing it. The other ones
Loomis
get surprise
doesn't have a
attacked.
problem.
He empties the entire revolver. He's like, pop, 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 pop. But even then, man.
Even then, it's not.
It didn't work, but it was a valiant effort, and we didn't really
Yeah.
see that in Laurie. She didn't. She just was like, "It's probably fine. I'll leave him there. He's dead. Yeah, he's dead. He's laying down. He's dead.
He's so sleepy.
He's never seen it. She's never seen a sleepy guy."
Yeah, no, for sure. I think if we talk about the characters who are aware of Michael Myers, there's like the Laurie Strode side of things, a tremendous final girl, and I'm really excited to do the 2018 movie yet, because I feel like Adam's going to have a whole new perspective on Laurie Strode.
Yeah, for sure.
But she definitely is like, this first movie is interesting because she's just full getting traumatized like through that entire final act. There's not really a lot of chance for her to step up.
Mm-hmm.
She's very resourceful. She does a good job, but she does have that thing of like, she's just so desperate to try and get out of there that she, as soon as he's like incapacitated for a moment, she's just trying to run away.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like the Loomis side of things, where the whole movie is calling Michael Myers it, and like when when the time comes, shoots the guy like 7 or 8 times. Like, there are two sides of the spectrum to be on for sure, and I feel like I'd land somewhere more in the middle. But I totally get what you mean. Like, it's somewhere in between for me. I'm not like I'm not like a Loomis level where I'm gonna bam, 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 bam. But also, like, I really feel the frustration of, like, every time Michael Myers goes down, if you're not going to double tap, you've got to make a more meaningful move than just walking into a different room.
Yeah. You gotta exit the premises in a matter of seconds.
Yeah,
So,
there has to be a plan beyond that, because that's the big criticism I have of Laurie. Is it's constantly like, she incapacitates him, she walks into a different room, sits down and cries, and then when he walks into the room, she's like, "No, how is this possible?" And it's like, well, I can think of a couple ways it's possible.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, at the very least, you have to have something beyond, he's down for a second, let me just wander into the living room and see what's going on there.
Maybe make myself a sandwich.
Let me talk to these kids for an embarrassingly long amount of time while he just full walks up behind us.
that being said, I think the other characters who die don't really have a chance to do anything else. So I feel like the other kills in this movie are there's surprise attacks, like Luke said. Their mind's not in the game for pretty valid reasons. I wouldn't be like, ooh, Halloween night, I better look over my shoulder for a killer in a mask. Like, no one's really expecting that. So if you're not tipped off early, you're just doing your thing, you get surprise attacked. I feel like as far as the hand-to-hand, like, Michael Myers is there moments, really the only fault we can give, because he is so overpowering, once you're in his grasp, he can't get out, is just the double tapping of the main character. I think everyone else just didn't have a chance at the end of the day.
I don't know. Bob had his post-nut clarity. Like, he should have been a little...
Like, what? Something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but
cracked out his
something's wrong.
nunchucks that he carries in his back pocket.
When she's like, hey, like, go get me a beer. As soon as he walks out of that room, he should be like... No, the vibe's off.
I thought you were about to say, he'd just walk out of the house, just leave.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, what can I say? I'm a classy guy. Once we've done it in the bed of family we don't know very well.
With a jack-o'-lantern
With a jack-o'-lantern watching. I just go ahead and go home. I call it a night.
You shake their hand, you say thank you very much, and you leave. Like
I
a
say,
gentleman.
I say, thank you, ma'am. I hope you have a pleasant evening. And adios. Adios.
Michael's just like, what a nice young man. I'm going to let him live.
This guy gets it.
he gets it, man.
I can't imagine a bigger dick move than just like, well, I did what I came here to do, so I'm going to go home and play some Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
But to be fair, he would be alive.
And on the flip side of that, like, I don't know. Sometimes you do hear stories about a guy just, like, really openly being like, yeah, so, we're going to have sex. I'm going to leave right after, and that's going to be it. And the woman's like, that was actually a really positive experience because he was honest about it. Like, I don't know. Maybe Bob could make that work to his advantage if he's just like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Don't need a beer. Just need to. I got this clarity. I don't want to.
I actually really want some pancakes.
Gonna go to the IHOP. We'll see you later.
It's that friggin' TikTok sound that's like, silence, wench. I no longer wish to be horny. I just wish to be happy. Bob has a full, like, moment of depression. I'm just like, oh, man. This isn't my bed. We fully snuck into somebody's house to do this. I'm the creepy guy who drives a van. I gotta go home. I'm sorry, Linda. I gotta get out of here.
I think this is a very good point.
Yes.
Post-nut clarity.
Yes.
Should have been there. Should have been there.
Rookie mistakes.
Look, we were raised very religious. We feel a deep shame accompany that clarity. We don't understand why Bob isn't just so ashamed of himself he goes home to play video games and cry.
I don't understand it.
It doesn't make sense to me.
How can he look at himself in the mirror after that?
How does he not look in the mirror and go, you slut, I can't believe you did this.
Can't believe you've done this.
Can't believe you've done this.
Can't believe you've done this.
All right.
Goodness, guys.
Let's sift through the rest of this. So on either side, do we weaknesses, strengths, do we feel like we've missed anything?
I can't think of any.
Good.
Myself personally.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think maybe something to bring up, and forgive me if I'm getting some of the facts wrong, but because Michael Myers is Michael Myers, he was in that house, he stabbed his sister, he went to...
Wait, that was his sister?
Some ambiguous... Don't make me second guess myself.
Why is Rod kissing his sister? It's not his sister. That just shattered my entire universe.
Gosh dang it. He went to the ambiguous institution that does a lot of bench presses, and then Loomis knows he's escaped, and he knows where he's going because he knows he's Michael Myers. And so I feel like that's a weakness of him, that even though he is kind of a cold-blooded killer, it is personal. it is personal that he's going to his childhood home. He's living there, killing things there, and he's working around in that sphere. So I think that's a predictability that does end up have Loomis getting there.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, like, Michael Myers would be in a much worse position if people just bothered believing Loomis. You know what I mean? Because Loomis, like, keeps telling people, like, he's going to go to Haddonfield. He's going to go to Haddonfield. And if somebody listens to him, they could get, like, state police there. They could get backup for the sheriff's department. I mean, he full drives past the sheriff, like, a couple of times in the movie, and the sheriff just has too much on his plate to notice.
Yeah.
So it's like, if somebody believed Loomis that he would go to Haddonfield, like, they could get some serious backup, and that would help a lot. So I do get what you mean, like, but the movie does kind of have an answer to that, which is,
It does.
Every time Loomis is like, he's going to go to Haddonfield, people are like, oh, Loomis, you crazy son of a gun. Why don't you go hide in some bushes and scare little children?
Oh, man.
This guy's great. Well, this guy's great. Come on. Come on. We love you, Loomy. We love you.
So much love.
I do want to clarify, Donald Pleasance, like, such an iconic part of this franchise. And to be perfectly honest, his performance in this first movie's dope.
Yeah.
It's his best performance of the franchise.
Absolutely.
Probably because he actually cares about this one, and the rest of them he slowly cared about less and less.
Right.
But, like, it's a genuinely moving performance. He has some great monologues where he talks about Michael Myers and the evil within.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, there isn't really a bad performance in this movie. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's a bad performance.
I think it's
Michael Myers' mom at the beginning.
Michael?
How dare you? You go to your room, little mister.
It gets me standing there with a knife. The dad looks super concerned and is like, what is happening? And the mom just kind of sighs and puts her hands in her pockets like she doesn't, like she thinks the shot is over or something. It gets me every time. It's either a wild acting choice or she was just not trying. So, yeah, there was some bad acting in this movie. There. I said it.
You said it. Good for you.
Dang.
Any other
Hot
thoughts
take.
about strengths, weaknesses, moments we want to single out?
You know what? I'm going to bring up something.
Bring it.
So 2 years ago when we were talking about this, I mentioned that I had a particular affinity for Annie. Obviously, Laurie's the number one. She's the final girl. She just automatically gets the most love. But I mentioned that my second choice is Annie. You guys ganged up on me. Were like, I don't know. I don't like. You guys didn't care for Annie, and I said, I don't know. Maybe my opinion will change the next time I watch it. Kind of having heard your guys' thoughts on the matter.
So we need an update on the feelings.
The
of
official
Annie.
update. Annie's still my favorite. She's great. She's feisty. She's like, it's supportive, and she really does care about her friends. And she's funny. She genuinely makes me laugh. So you guys are wrong and can suck it. Annie's my girlfriend now.
Well, she's dead, so anyway, moving on.
So, yeah, she's dead. She's dead. So,
Joke's on you. So's Laurie Strode in like 7 of the different Halloween timelines.
Well, I'm here for Michael, bro. I never said that.
I'm here for those cobblestone cheeks.
I'm here for old Clapper.
It's like an Ed Helms movie. He's such a clapper.
I don't get it, but that's all right.
One person loved that joke.
Michael Myers.
We are creeping in to the part of the episode where we talk about like making some definitive decisions. Could we do better than they in this movie? And so we break it down and quantify it into 2 parts: final boy status, final girl status. Final boy status is making it pretty much the entire movie, but then you're the last to die. So
The runner-up position.
the runner-up, and then final girl status is the literal final girl of this movie, which is kind of a breath of fresh air to not have to like be like, well, let's define final girl status. You
Very
get
clear
to
in this movie.
point. I
Very
don't know.
clear.
It's very clear.
Laurie
you
Strode.
are Laurie. You get past it. So let's start with final boy status. Lanson, what's your pitch?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna hear a business proposal. What's your pitch?
So just looking at the
sell yourself.
numbers from last quarter, and then
Buddy,
also
you're gonna have to jack those numbers up. Those are rookie
Those are
numbers
rookie
in this
numbers in
bracket.
this bracket.
yes.
Uh-huh.
Fabulosa. Y'all remember that joke? Please say yes. Love me. Anyway.
Please write in. Send us a letter through the mail.
You know what? I guess it really depends. I think if I'm putting myself in Laurie's shoes, then yes, I would make it to final boy status. But if I'm just one of these other chumpy teenagers, like, you'd probably be dead. But
Hey, in fairness, if you're Paul, you get away scot-free.
yeah, true. Paul's somewhere in the ether. Maybe he comes back in another movie. He's like, you totally killed my girlfriend, but still dies because it's Michael Myers, dude. So
He's like a Ben Tramer type.
yeah. But yeah, I think that I would give myself final boy status from this movie.
Respect.
Luke?
Yeah, I'm going to give myself final boy status. I think the only way to blow it is to be a hot babysitter. I am neither hot nor a babysitter, so like I'm in good position.
You're not a babysitter. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, look, if there's one thing we can say about me for sure, never sat on a baby.
It's good.
And I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm insulted that you think I might. So, yeah, in terms of like how I think I fit into this equation, I think final boy status is a fair. I think I could pretty fairly give myself the runner-up position. I do not think I would be the apple of Michael Myers' eye.
Oh.
I would just kind of be somebody who gets in the way. He definitely has he definitely likes to kill young, attractive women. I am a young man, so I'm not quite his type. So I think I would be somebody who would die if I got in the way, but he's not going after me. So Final Boy feels like, yeah, I'll slide myself into that category quite nicely.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say I'm going to give it to myself as well. I think due to all the merit badges I have, when it comes to the quickest of quickies I can do, I've really practiced.
Yeah, it comes to being a 1 minute champion.
Between
A pump and dump chump.
between the quickness of my abilities and the post nut clarity, I think I've at least got enough mentality to.
I think we're gonna
make
make
it to
Lanson shed a tear by the end of this podcast. Lanson's usually kind of the hardest one out of the three of us to make
shoot,
laugh,
dude.
and when there's an episode where he's really going, that feels special.
Oh man, just listing it as your strengths of just man, like all of these attributes, you know.
I mean, I keep myself in pretty good shape, so maybe I could go 1-to-1 with Michael Myers. I also prematurely ejaculate, so I got that going for me.
in like 3 seconds. I'm in and out. I'm out of that room. I say good day, miss. I give her a handshake.
They call me in and out because I'm quick, and I do buy her a burger.
You want to go animal style on that?
What's animal style? Oh, it's like regular but with cheese.
oh,
All right, let's get to it. Final girl status. Lanson.
This is a really special one. I'm really loving this.
oh shoot.
I wish this was 5 hours longer.
Oh man, I think I would be passed out by then.
Yeah, I'm more of a quick take guy. In and out, so.
We know that. We know that now.
We know. I've established that.
Yeah, you're not a marathon guy.
Yeah.
You're a sprinter.
I'm a sprinter.
Usain Bolt.
I'm a Usain because of my nut game's insane. I'm just spitting. It's coming to me. This is just inspiration.
Give him the gold.
Is Zool from New Mexico coming back?
Oh
From
man.
New Mexico.
Sorry. Everybody just needs to take a break.
Where even am I right now? What are we doing?
I think we're making a podcast.
out of body experience.
Oh man.
Oh, this is great. I love this.
Final girl status.
Final girl status.
Could you survive this movie, Lanson Lap?
Okay. Yes. But I'm not going to do it the Laurie Strode method.
All right.
Surprise, surprise. We're going to go Shawshank Redemption up in here. I meet Michael Myers in the joint. I got put there because I'm killing people just to get the dental and health benefits.
I just want to spend more time in the gym.
Yeah, not a good person. Not saying that I'm a good person. I did it for the benefits. So there. But, I'm hitting the weight room, and I really see some talent in this young Michael kid. I'm like, dang, this guy can really put up some numbers. So what I do is I leave. I break myself out, but I let Michael know, hey, man, meet me here. We're just going to break out, and we're going to have this life. And so he ends up breaking out, and what I end up doing is I become his manager for his powerlifting career. And Michael is breaking records. I allow him to wear the mask because that's his, as an athlete, that's his right to, have that sort of expression. And, people love it. The crowd loves it. They're like, there's mystery. He's like, so in a way, I am a good person. I'll take it back because he doesn't end up killing any more people. He ends up just, making me money and also, fulfilling his need to kill. He just kills records instead of people. So
Kills the weights.
So you're welcome. Heavy is the crown of such a good man I am, and that's the way it's gonna be for me.
Okay, which Rocky movie did you describe the plot of?
So this is the one where he fights Apollo Creed's son, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
He fights Michael Jordan with the Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny is his trainer. It's all I don't know. It's all weird. He gets cut. Cut me. Mickey Mouse.
There's definitely aliens there, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's also somehow a direct prequel to Rambo.
Oh yeah, after the aliens do experiments on him, they put him in a new life where he becomes a Green Beret that goes to Vietnam and then is mistreated. So in a way, it's a happy story.
As well, yeah.
And you're a good person.
Yeah, man. That's, if nothing else, I'm a good person because I broke a psychiatric man that's a killer, former killer, out of prison to make me money. And yeah, become famous. So, yep, I'm good.
Cool.
Luke, what you got? You think you can do it? You can pull it off?
Okay. I'm going to kind of give two answers. One, I'm going to say I probably don't make it to the end. If I'm spending Halloween with my girlfriend and I just want to be close to her, all of my attention will be on her as a person, so I will be distracted enough that I think Michael Myers could pull one over on me. But I will present a scenario in which I don't die, which is if I'm in a Bob-esque position. Realistically, I'm the Paul of this movie because Annie's more my type than Linda. So I survive on virtue of that alone, that I'm the Paul. But if I'm in a Bob position, here's what I think goes on with me. I have my creepy van, which clearly she does not want to have sex in. I'm just a teenager. I just work a job at a movie theater on the weekends. I don't have a ton of money, but I have enough money that when my girlfriend's like, I want to spend Halloween with you, I want it to be special, I'll spring for a hotel room. I'm not going to show up to some random person's house and get busy in their bed. So I'm just going to be like, you know what? Here's the plan for Halloween. You and me are going to go to a hotel. We'll just scary movies and cuddle and have a nice time and not feel real weird about where we just did the deed, Because, again, raised very religiously. And I think as soon as I have an ounce of self-awareness, the fact that I am in some random person's bed would drive me insane. So I think I would have just enough reason in me to say, like, not, you know what? Let's get a special spot set up just for us. Let's not rely on using the bed in a house where our friend is babysitting a child. Because I'm pretty sure half of their pitch, like, before they go in is like, yeah, she'll take Lindsay to the other room and then we'll go have sex. And it's like, well, she's still in the house? No, I'm not. No. So, yeah, that's my take on things. I just would not be in that house in the first place. Nothing wrong with having a romantic Halloween with your partner, but there is something wrong with, like, showing up to a person's house and using it like it's your own. Stop it.
Stop it. Get help.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Jordan was a real villain in that one Rocky movie, but but he made a good point in that public service announcement.
It was in The Last Dance, guys. You're going to have to rewatch that, but it was in there.
You should rewatch it, though.
I probably will at some point, like in the next 6 months.
It's
Good
so
show.
good.
It's a good show. Sorry, I had root beer before this, and it's making me have to burp. So, I am going to make Final Girl status. The reason I'm going to make Final Girl status is I'm going to be, in this world, a true crime junkie.
Mm-hmm.
I read about Michael Myers killing.
Nice.
As a
He
kid.
listens to a podcast about it in 1978.
Yep, I'm like, wow, that's really
On
cool.
vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little scratchy.
You remember
but
when they used to do This American Life in vinyl?
Loved it, yeah.
Yes.
Remember the early days of Serial when you got it as a 45?
Yep. And I listened to it, or read it more realistically in the newspaper, and I was like, that's cool. Not cool, but I acknowledged its existence. And then, years later, there's a breakout from Ambiguous Asylum, and I go, it's Michael Myers, and I know he's going to Haddonfield. I know, and I, in this time, have also gotten a degree in psychology, and I go, he's about to kill some babysitters. I just know. I have that foresight. I've been working on my mind. I've been working on my profile of Michael Myers ever since he got into the joint. I know what he's going to do, so I'm going to do an interception. I'm going to become a babysitter. I'm going to become a sexy babysitter.
Oh, shoot.
Well,
Will
I
you-
mean,
Really,
you don't need to become.
really
You're already there,
sexy
dude.
Babysitter.
will you be wearing like a pillowcase?
It might be
say
something
yes.
that looks like a pillowcase. It might not. But I'm gonna
sack?
I'm gonna be stalking Michael Myers. I'm gonna be in the bushes behind him, and I'm gonna be seeing him checking out those women, and he's about to kind of or reach forward, and then I come strolling past him with my little thing stroller where they push kids, and I have
It's a full pumpkin in the stroller. You're just hoping he doesn't see.
and he's like, his head turns with me as he goes, and he's on to me now. So I make a big deal, very loudly. I have my kitchen thing open. I glance over. I see that he's just outside the window, but I pretend that I don't see, and I'm like, I'm going to move to this other place. And I move to this other place, and he follows me because I am too much of an attractive babysitter. And we played cat and mouse game for a long time until he gets tired, at which case I murder him.
How would you murder him?
Lure him into a trap.
I would use a knife. I think, yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, just kind of a
Dang.
little taste of his own medicine, I
There you
think.
go.
But yeah, I save those girls from death, and I
You're
give him what he wants.
dude, and I want this to be a movie. I want this to be like the alternate universe of Halloween.
It can
Yeah.
be.
Halloween Kills.
Movie
It's
producers
the
who are
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead of Halloween.
yeah, yeah. So movie producers who are listening, write this down, because I'm available. Like I can be the main. I can be a sexy babysitter. Just like watch my audition tape. I go for hours. So
Do you guys want mac and cheese for dinner? Okay.
you guys want to watch Finding Nemo? Okay, I'll put it in. Wow. They're like, this guy's good. That's really good.
What I love about this audition tape is that you're not sexy around the kids.
No,
Like,
you gotta keep it.
I like,
for the
yeah,
kids.
I like that it's separate.
Right.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, Michael Myers will also appreciate that.
Makes mental notes.
Good around kids, still really sexy.
Wow.
I feel like there's
Something
another.
about
I
Adam.
feel like there's another version of my answer where I don't make final girl status, but it's not because I'm even that involved in the plot. I'm just like a Ben Tramer type. That's like just a random casualty of chaos. Of like,
Oh no.
because I don't know if you guys remember this, but Halloween 2, the very first sequel they made, takes place the same night as this one, and they spend a lot of this movie talking about Ben Tramer, this guy Laurie Strode has a crush on. And Ben Tramer happens to have bought the same mask as Michael Myers from the hardware store for his costume. So Loomis sees him in the mask and runs him over with a car and full kills him.
All right.
I might be slightly misremembering that, but it's something to that effect where Loomis, like, I remember seeing the movie and being like, Loomis just full killed that dude. And then later they're like, we ID'd the body. It's Ben Tramer. And I was like, that's the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard.
It's funny because it's like fits into what we were just talking about with Loomis, how he just goes full send on everything. He's like, I'm not gonna take a chance.
Kill or be killed.
It's like a
Yeah.
20% chance, but you know what? Gosh dang it.
We gotta treat it as.
Sorry,
an
Lori. Looks like you don't have a date to the homecoming dance after all.
Gotta take Mikey, looks like.
Oh, no. Oh, no. But everybody will hear him coming.
Clap, 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 clap.
Imagine what he sounds like when he's dancing. Can you imagine a box step wobbling through those cheeks?
Oh, wow. Well, that was the episode, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached the end. Can you survive? Can you evade
Yeah.
the cheek
Tell us.
clapping?
Seriously, tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think about this movie. Tell us movies you want us to cover in the future. Tell us maybe some things we need to take into consideration about some of the villains and killers that we've covered in the past that maybe we didn't think about. Like,
Are we super ignorant speaking right now in our average Joe minds?
yeah, we are not the end all be all. We are the beginning of a conversation. Everybody loves to talk with their friends about how they would survive a horror movie. Just consider us your friends that you will tell how you survive a horror movie. We are the beginning of the conversation. Feel free to join in.
Definitely. Yeah, and that wraps us up. Our next movie, is that going to be the 2018 Halloween? Is that the next one?
Yeah. So we have a whole, assuming that everything goes well post-production wise, you guys out there can look forward to a Halloween weekend. Today is Halloween. Tomorrow, we're not recording it tomorrow, but tomorrow you will hear from us regarding Halloween, the 2018 sequel. And then on Sunday, we will have, hot off the press, an episode about Halloween Kills, which is coming out in theaters today, the day this episode of the podcast is released.
Right.
So look forward to a whole weekend of Michael Myers.
Follow along with
gonna
us.
Be so much fun.
Watch the movies with us. Let us know what you think. Halloween is gonna be fun. Yeah, I'm saying it in the future tense, but for you, it's now, and it's my favorite holiday, so I'm excited for
I
it.
know we are deep in October right about now. It's rad.
Yeah. So, anything anyone wants to say about yourself or your life?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Do
Do you have any objections?
I enjoy this podcast, and that's all for today.
Thanks, Lanson. Really insightful, really thoughtful comment.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Luke,
You doing anything you want people to check out? Luke's usually doing something.
I try to do things, yeah. So I wrote and directed a short horror film. It is called A Girl Walks Alone. I in theory it is releasing soon, and I'm really excited for people to see it. So just keep an eye out for that if you would be so kind. It is kind of in the horror genre. I think of it, it's not horror exactly, it's kind of horror adjacent, uses some horror imagery. But yeah, I'm really excited for that, so just keep an eye out for that.
Cool. you can catch me in my kitchen with my hand stuck in a peanut butter jar.
You can catch his hands in a peanut butter jar.
Ooh, somebody's going to sleep.
And that's the show. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and hope you have the spoopiest of spoopy seasons.
Happy Halloween.
We'll see ya.
This has been an Underqualified Idiocracy media production, produced by Lanson Lappin, Adam Bone, and Luke Haueter. Theme music for the episode was written by Rachel Robison. You can hear more of Rachel's music at rachelrobinsonmusic.com. You can also find her on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching at Robel Racheson. Artwork for the YouTube version of this podcast was created by Trinity Rodriguez. You can follow her on Twitter by searching at InstrinBaby to see more of her work. This podcast was recorded in Underqualified Studios and edited by Luke Haueter, with special thanks to Mike Fuchs for providing audio assistance. The illustrious voice acting providing the intro and outro of this episode is Shane Alvey of the Paradox Files voice acting. You can explore more of his work on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching at The Paradox Files.